Hello everyone, my name is Abubakar Salim and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to discuss about if-else statement in C language. If-else statement is a decision-making statement, but it provides us two options. In the last tutorial, we discussed about if condition and we discussed that if the condition is true, the block of if condition is executed. But what if the the if condition is false? Then what happened in the previous lecture was that the block was ignored and nothing happened. But let's suppose you want something to happen if the condition is false. Then in that case, we are going to use if else statement. So first of all, we are going to discuss about the syntax. So just like if statement, the if else statement also contain if part, and if part is exactly the same. So let's suppose you are writing the condition here. If 5 is greater than 7 is the condition, and you are going to print greater, and let's suppose you want to print smaller if the condition is false. So for that, you are going to write a keyword else, and with else statement we do not write the condition. The condition only comes with if statement, and else statement does not contain any condition. And if the condition corresponding if statement is true, the block of if statement will be executed. Otherwise, the block of else statement will be executed. So let's suppose I want to print smaller if the condition is false. So you can see 5 is greater than 7 is a false condition. So in this case, smaller is going to be printed on the screen because the program has decided to ignore the first block, which is if block, and the program has executed the second block, which is the else block. So this is how if else statement works. We are going to discuss different examples. The first example is a similar example that we did in the previous tutorial to print eligible and non-eligible. If the age is greater than equal to 18, we will print eligible, and if the age is less than 18, we are going to print not eligible. So for that, we are going to create a variable int age, and we want to print the we want to prompt the user to enter age. So for that, I'm going to write enter age to make the program interactive. Then I will prompt the user to enter age. For that, I'm going to write for that I'm going to use scanf statement, and with scanf statement I'm going to use the variable age. Now the condition, if age is greater than equal to 18. So I want to print eligible. And by the way, in the last video, I was writing the wrong spellings. I think these are the correct spellings. So uh, my apologies for that. So if age is greater than equal to 18, the message will be printed on the screen, which is going to be eligible. Now I want to print not eligible if this condition is false and the age is less than 18. For that, I am not going to use else if statement again. Instead, I am going to use else statement, and printf not eligible is going to be written with else block, within the else block. So now when I'm going to execute the program, if I enter, let's suppose 21, the message has been printed eligible. But now when I will again execute the program and let's suppose I have entered 15, this time the output is going to be not eligible. So this is how we can use if else statement in a program. So we are going to discuss one more example today, and in that example we are going to check the square root of a number. So we know that a square root is the is calculated in math, and we cannot calculate the square root of a negative number. So we have to write a program which can calculate the square root of a positive number. But if the number is less than 0, the program should display math error. For that, we are going to use if else statement. So first of all, we have to include a library in our program, and that library is known as math.h library. The purpose of this library is to include all the functions that belong to math. So square root function is a function that belongs to this library, and if you want to use that function we have to include this library at the beginning. So that's why I'm using math.h here. Now I want the user to enter a number, and I am assigning float data type to this number. I want to make this program interactive, so that's why I am writing a message at the beginning, enter the number. This is a good programming practice to make your program interactive. So you should also make this practice common to use printf statement before scanf statement to make your program interactive for the users. So printf, enter the number, then I have used scanf statement. Now I want to print the square root of the number. But if the number is positive, in that case, I'm going to print the square root only. If the number is not positive, it is negative, then I want the program to enter to print math error. So for that, I'm going to use if else statement. If number is greater than equal to 0. So now I want to print the square root. So first of all, I'm going to use the variable square root sq, and the function that I'm going to use is sqrt function. So sqrt function, and I want to calculate the square root of variable num. So I'm going to write num in the parameter section, and now I'm going to print f the square root of the square root is equal to percentage f, and here I'm going to print sq. But if number is less than 0, for that I am going to use else statement. So if the number is greater than equal to 0, in that case the square root will be printed. But if the number is less than 0, in that case we are going to print what are we going to print? Yeah, hello world. Sorry, we are not going to print hello world, we are going to print math error. So now when I will execute the program will prompt the user to enter a number. So let's suppose I have entered 16 and the square root is 4. But let's suppose I have entered minus 15. When now I will execute the program, the output is going to be math. So this is how you can use if else statement in your program. Now the question is, how can we decide that either our program is going to use if else statement or not? So whenever there are two possibilities to a condition, in that case you are going to use if else statement. For example, in this program, if number is greater than equal to 0, there were two possibilities: either the number is negative or the number is positive. If the number is positive, we are going to print the square root, and if the number is negative, we are going to print math error. So we know that the positive numbers, or the numbers of which we can calculate square root, are from 0 to onwards. On all the numbers that are 0 or greater than 0 are the numbers of which we can calculate the square root. So that's why I have written number is greater than equal to 0. There were only two cases for this one condition. That's why we are using if else. So whenever there is a condition and that condition contains two cases, in that case we are going to use if else statement. In the previous example, in which I have printed eligible, not eligible, it also consisted two cases. One more program that we are going to discuss in this tutorial is even number, odd number. So even numbers are integers that are divisible by 2, and odd numbers are integers that are not divisible by 2. So we are going to check whether a number is even or odd. So for that we are going to create an integer variable, and I'm going to name it num. You have to remember one thing, that even numbers and odd numbers are always integer. So you cannot use float data type here. Okay, this is a rule in math, that even numbers and odd numbers are subset of integers. Now I want to check whether the number is even or odd. First of all, I want the user to enter the number. So for that, I'm going to print a message, enter a number, scanf %d ampersand num. Now I'm going to use num mod 2 is equal to 0. So if the remainder, uh, for remainder we use modulus operator, and if the remainder is equal to 0, if we divide the number with 2 and the remainder is 0, then that number is going to be even number. This is the definition of even number. Similarly, if the condition is false, if the remainder is not equal to 0, if the remainder is equal to 1, we are going to print odd numbers. So this is the program to check whether a number is even or odd. So let's enter a number 5. The output is going to be odd number. And once again, let's enter 16. The output is going to be even number. So this is how you can use if else statement in your program. There are so many examples that I can discuss in this tutorial, and this is a very vast statement that contains that can be used in C programming. So I must suggest you that you should practice every day, and you should learn this concept every day, so that you do not forget how to use if else statement in your program. So I think that's it for this tutorial. If there is any question, please let me know in the comment section, and please subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.